Have you ever had one of those Sundays where your world is falling apart? The kids are fighting, your partner's stressing out, you're flipping off every other driver on the way to church, screaming at the kids as they argue and shout about everything. And then as you drive into the church car park, a frustrated piece breaks out. Hair is flattened down, clothes are brushed down, deep breaths are taken, and the family all step out of the car with forced smiles and purposeful walks, and the act begins. Everyone who greets you gets a Sunday smile back. Everyone who asks is assured that you are fine and things are great. You're delighted to be there. Because this is church where everyone is happy, everyone is fine, everyone is holy, everyone has their stuff together. Except we don't. No one does. Not even the preacher. Especially not the preacher. When I was younger, I was at this point in life where everything was going well. My career was flourishing, I had a beautiful wife, growing family, we were living in our first home. Everything was perfect. And yet I remember feeling this wave of anxiety flow over me whenever Rachel would express love for me, or pride in what I was doing. Because I was pretty sure that at any point the whole thing was going to come crashing down and people would see who I really was. People would see that I didn't have a clue what I was doing. People would see that I was the fraud that I was pretty convinced I was. Do you ever feel like that? Like you're suffocating? Like you're an imposter? Throughout our lives, we put up all sorts of defences. We present an act and don't let people in. We try and fix things or make everything perfect so we can't be criticised. We lock stuff inside. We become cynical, sarcastic, judgmental and proud. We choose to not be seen. Even as children, we learn to act like everything's okay and not talk about the things that worry us. We all have tapes in our head which keep telling us that we aren't good enough, we're not important, we failed, we wasted our opportunity. And when we do stir up the courage to step forward, we are met with the crippling question, who do you think you are? And church doesn't always help. Sometimes church just puts those tapes to worship music. Sometimes church seems to demand the masks rather than being a safe place to take them off. But grace changes things. Grace invites us to be real. Grace says all have sinned, so we are all in this together. Grace says it's okay to be you. Grace says you are loved, you are worthy of love, and you belong in God's creation. Grace says the tapes can be changed. But to step into grace, we need to be vulnerable. We need to allow our masks to slip. Brené Brown says, to be the person we want to be the partner, to be the parent, we have to take down everything we put up that was supposed to be keeping us safe. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's probably the bravest choice we can make. It is the courage to let ourselves be seen, the lifting of the mask, letting down the defences. Vulnerability is stepping into the arena and joining in. Vulnerability is daring to love, daring to create, daring to step back in, daring to take the first step when you can't be sure of the second. And church is a place where we get to practice this, where we share the journey together and show grace to each other, spurring each other on into paths of wholeheartedness. This happens in our small groups, our prayer groups, and our friendship groups. It happens at the communion table, in the sanctuary of worship, and at the cross. Church is a safe place to be ourselves, but it's not a comfortable place. It's a place of vulnerability. In the Bible, we see this story of Jacob. He lied and cheated and tricked his brother, and it changed his whole life. He ran away and carried his shame with him. And then he needs to go back and face his brother again. He sends his money, his cattle, his possessions, even his family ahead of him until he's left alone. And then God meets him, and they wrestle all night. As they approach dawn, Jacob demands a blessing. And this is where it gets beautiful, because Jacob's story is that he lied about his name and pretended to be his brother. Even his name Jacob means liar, deceiver and cheat. And he pretended to be someone else, and he hasn't faced up to who he is for years. And now here was God asking him, "Who are you?" What a stunning question to be asked by God. Who are you? And Jacob faces up and declares his name is Jacob, liar, deceiver, cheat. He lets the mask slip, and immediately God chooses to change his name, to change his story, to change the tapes. Because God doesn't listen to the tapes. God sees us differently. And as soon as Jacob chooses vulnerability, God chooses grace. Vulnerability is brave. We don't have to have everything sorted. We just get to bring who we are. Our hopes and fears, our successes and our failures, our strengths and our weaknesses, our brokenness, our doubts and our addictions. And in return, God calls us beautiful, accepted, enough, loved. But vulnerability is a choice. It's something we need to practice. It is a habit we need to develop. Stop listening to the tapes. Change them for tapes that affirm you. Tapes that tell you that you are loved, you are accepted, you belong and you are worthy. Lean into vulnerability. Take risks. Dare to love. Dare to trust. Dare to listen to the promptings of God in your spirit. Step into the arena. Join in. Enjoy joy. Create. Dance. Sing. And the next time you have one of those Sundays and you're greeted by a familiar face asking you how you are, don't force a smile or pretend it's all fine, but dare to be vulnerable. Take a deep breath and be seen.